GM. Hi, Viral. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very lovely. Very excited for this workshop today. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the Builder stage. And this week again with Viral. Viral, what will people learn today, and what will they be able to do after this workshop?
Yes. So we are working on x402, and that's the new status code by HTTP that allows you to gate an API call, and the gate would be basically asking you to pay. So, for example, if you have a API endpoint that is free, that's a normal API call that returns 200 status code. But let's say there's an API endpoint which you want people to pay to use that API call. It's too difficult right now because what you have to do is you'll have to create you'll have to ask your users to create an account on your website, and then you'll have to ask users to attach the credit card, and then you have to give them an API key. It's too difficult for you to develop, and it's too difficult for a user to use the API side. So we have this new standard called 402, and this is a status code. Like we have status code 200, we have status code 400, 500, 404. So similar way, there's a new status code called 402. And people have this misconception, but yeah, so the company X402, it's built on top of this protocol. And this 402 protocol is a Web2 protocol. But X402 company has created a wrapper around it, which allows an event to pay in crypto for an API call. And what smart people at thirdweb has figured out is that this can be used inside MCP tools. So what we are going to do today is we're going to use thirdweb to make a MCP tool call like token gated. So basically, you'll have to pay some tokens to access a particular tool inside LLM. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Cello Composer to create a template, like create a chat interface project. And in that project, we already have few tools. One of the tools is looking up an ENS name. So for example, if you provide lena.eth, it can give you your address. But what we are going to do is we'll start with token gating this API call. So whenever you say that what's the address of Lena, it would ask you to do a payment. The moment you pay a very small amount in Cello tokens, let's say, it will resolve the name and give it to you. So we'll start with this, and based upon how much time we have, we will try to add more and more features of thirdweb.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, that was so well explained. I think I also learned a little bit more. And very excited for this. I think it's right now so many people are building AI agents, and they just like pay for the fees for like all of the LLMs and like for running everything. So adding that feature to your agent is like in general makes just a lot of sense, right? For like especially for like the costly actions. Okay, cool, nice. Do you want to share your?
Yeah.
Should I add your screen too?
Yeah, can you share my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what we are going to do is we are going to yes, we'll zoom in when I start. So before I start, like I'll share some context. Is I want to spend more time on giving more context around what is X402, because development-wise we'll be vibe coding and we'll be using Cello Composer that saves us the time. So I want to go through and give you more guys more context around what is 402 and how does it work internally, right? So the best place I found is just do thirdweb docs, go into thirdweb docs, and they did a really good job at explaining, right? So is this okay, Lena? Or should I come in?
Yeah, 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 that's fine.
Okay. So once you're on the thirdweb docs, go into payments. And on the payments, you can see a whole section called x402, right? And this has all the code integration and some explanation around how it works. So what we are going to do is we're going to use Cello Composer template, and that template internally anyways use thirdweb wallets. So we can easily follow this particular documentation and implement the same thing, right? So what this does is we have to make two high-level changes. In the front end, we'll have to wrap our API calls with this function called wrap fetch with payments. So if you don't know, fetch is a inbuilt function inside JavaScript, and fetch allows you to make API calls. And there's an alternate version called Axiom, which is like a little bit better, but fetch is a bare bone function that is natively comes with JavaScript. So what thirdweb did is they wrapped around fetch function and they added support for a wallet. So now this fetch is a normal fetch, but with steroids, you can say. So whenever you make an API call with fetch with pay, it basically handles all the payment related stuff, and it has access to your wallet in thirdweb, and it has access to your account details on thirdweb, right? So this is a very high level view on what you need to do is just wrap your API call like this, and 50% of your work is done here in the front end side. Right? And when we go to server side, so okay, before we go to server side, I would like to show you how this works in a graphical way. I've seen. Okay, yeah, this is perfect.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go. Okay, so how this whole flow works is when a user starts with here saying, okay, I want to access this API, they make a GET call. And our server says, okay, wait, you cannot get the data, you have to make a payment. So the server responds with a 402 error code. So this is not an error code, you can say, but this is a status code. It's an API status code. We return 402 saying that we want payments. Now the client will select a payment method, and this whole thing is handled by thirdweb right now. So you don't need to do anything, just use their functions. But the client will choose the payment method, then they'll create a payload. And the payload is basically a transaction data on blockchain, right? And we return the response on a different endpoint, but with this header saying X payments and the base64 payload transaction data. We return it to the server. And now server contacts to a facilitator. And in our case, our facilitator is thirdweb. So we make an API call to thirdweb saying, okay, I have this payload data. Can you verify it? And we make an API call to thirdweb. They do the verification and they return us the verification status, right? If the verification or the transaction data is legit, then we make another API call to the thirdweb saying, okay, now I want to do the settlement. The moment you call a settle, thirdweb on your behalf will make a call to blockchain saying that, okay, this is the payment. You need to send it to my server wallet. So you have to provide a receiver wallet on your server, right? So you give an address that will receive all the payments on your behalf. And thirdweb basically will execute the transaction and tells the facilitator, okay, this is done. And your server basically knows that, yeah, I have received the payment. And once this whole thing is completed, you can do a response with a header X payment response. And this particular thing will have the transaction object, the transaction hash and the actual payment gated content. So this is a high level overview on the things. And the best thing about using thirdweb is the whole settlement thing. You don't need to worry about it because they have abstracted away everything. And you just have one API call that you do on verify, and they will handle the whole thing. And at the end, you just get a response with payment received. So this was the context that is required to go through the code. Okay, so we have context now. If we go to the get started and go into the server side code, on the server, you can see we are creating a thirdweb client. We are using the secret key here, and here we have used client key, right? On the backend, you can use a secret key and you can create a client. And now you're creating a facilitator. In the facilitator, you're providing the thirdweb client and the server wallet address. So this wallet address is the address that receives all the payments. And that's all you need to do is just create a facilitator object and thirdweb also gives a settle payment function from the package thirdweb x402. So this settle payment, the moment you receive the transaction data from the user, you can take it out from the headers and make a call to settle payment with all the metadata on the payment that you want to receive and stuff like that. Just provide all the configuration and yeah, just await, and thirdweb will handle all the facilitation code, and you get the result. If the result is 200, that means that you have received the payment and you can release the premium content now. Right. So this is a very high level, like this again, very high level on how it works. If you want to go in detail, you can go into the client side code, understand a few more configuration details, and you can go into server side code. This is how you can convert an MCP tool into an X402 agent. And this is what we're going to do today. I won't go into the code because we're anyways going to vibe code the agent like this. And facilitator, you can create your own facilitator. You can just go around the configuration required for that one function facilitator. Yeah, this is just more context around what each of the function accepts. So that's a very high level understanding. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Let's put it in the comments. Let's start coding. Okay. So I am in a empty folder in workshop folder. Let's use Cello Composer. If you're new here, we have this tool called Cello Composer. Basically, that has a list of different templates that you can directly use, which has integration of all the major protocols on blockchain, right? So we have Foundry, Hardhat, thirdweb, a lot of different supports that you will see when I run the command. But you should always use the latest stack so you have access to all the new templates. So we'll just run this command. Okay, so it's asking me there's a new version. Do you want to use it? Yeah, we'll use that. So it's asking me for my project name. Could be 402 workshop. Project description can be anything. Okay, and these are all the high-level templates we have. And if you go in each of the templates, we'll have multiple options. But what we are interested in this last one, AI Agent Chat app, which gives you a chat interface with LLMs ready to go, with thirdweb wallet, all the basic things that you require. It has everything. So you can choose that. Do I want to install dependencies? Yes. And we wait while it installs all the dependency, and I'll have a project that we can just directly start working on. Cool. In the meanwhile,
zoom in a little bit more. So just like for people who have never seen Cello Composer, I think for them to see what you selected.
I think this is the max zoom, sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. Then that's okay. They just have to squint and go close to the desktop.
Yeah. Okay, so in the meantime, what I would do is I'll log into my thirdweb account. Okay, I'm already logged in. So you can create a thirdweb account. And I've created a project, Cello Builder Stage, and this is the same account we've been using for all our workshops. So yeah, it's one. Yes, there we go. We have the whole project. We can go into this directory. And once we are here, we can do windsurf. So can you see my screen here? No.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome.
I think you can always zoom in more. I think it's especially if people watch this.
Okay.
Like this is good.
Okay, so there are a couple of things you need to do before you start this. So we have already installed all the packages. What you need to do is you have to go into the env file, and this is quite a big env file, so you don't need to add everything. We'll just go to the env file. Let me remove the blur effect. Okay, so this is a env example file, and on the first we have auth secret, and auth secret is basically something that helps you to generate authorization tokens. What you need to do is just copy this. This is an optional thing that I'm showing. We don't need to add this value. But if you want to, you can just copy this command, go to your terminal, just run this. And every time you run, it will give you a new code, right? So I just generate any random string, copy this, and yeah, and you can provide it here. So we'll not go through everything. I'll do it uh, off the live stream. But what you need to do is just create a .env file from the example file. And you need to provide your thirdweb ID, and in the thirdweb ID, you can this client ID is public, and you can just get it from when you create a project. Provide that, and this works with multiple different LLMs, right? So what I'm going to use is Gemini, but you can get any API key of any models, and then just provide that uh, key, and your chat interface will work with that model. So you can choose whichever one. I'll add a Google API key. This is something that you can totally skip. It's not needed for this workshop. The two things that's needed is PostgreSQL and Redis. So you need to create a PostgreSQL server somewhere and then provide the keys here. And you need to create a Redis account. And I've added links here, so you can directly go to this link and you can easily create, in 5 seconds, you can create a free version of Postgres, so you don't need to pay anything. It will be a very small server, but that's good enough for now. And same with Redis, just go to this link on Vercel and they'll help you to create a Redis account. So, okay, I'll create a new file and write all the values. Cool, this is the env file. I'll go off screen now.
And just for everyone, we are partnering with thirdweb also for proof of ship. So if this is the first time that you're creating a thirdweb account, you can just apply to proof of ship and you will get access to a code that gives you access to a starter plan for thirdweb. So you can, yeah, just go ahead and use thirdweb for all of the with all of the tools that you need. And yeah, wait, let me put in the code for proof of ship. I think you can also see it at the end of the live stream. And also when you go to Cello developer account, you can always find that. But here, this is where you sign up and then you get all of the information. If you're not yet signed up to proof of ship, it's our monthly builder program, where you can start building out your MVP, building out your on-chain history on Cello, and then you can apply for all of the other builder programs that we currently have, like Proof of Impact, which rewards you for on-chain transaction and users and gas fees created. And we also have mini app Mondays. And are you ready? I can stop pitching. But yeah, apply to proof of ship and build if you like this workshop, and you can test it out in proof of ship. Also, Elisa has arrived. Welcome, Elisa. And yeah, let's go.
So I have added Google API key, I've added PostgreSQL, I've added Redis. And once you have done that, I'm using Redis PostgreSQL server, which I already had used in past workshops. So you don't need, if you're using a new PostgreSQL server, then you'll need to do is run pnpm build. Pnpm build. And what pnpm build will do is it will run the migrations on your database, because you need to create tables, right? If we are using Drizzle, but you don't need to know what Drizzle is. If you see on package.json, in the build, we are running migration scripts. And this will basically create all the tables in your database, and then it will build it. So the first time I would recommend you to use that. And if you can see, it has done all the migration stuff, which I already have in my database. But it will make sure that all your code is correct, all the versions are up to date. Compilation failed. Okay, this is a package issue. I don't know why, but if I just run it, let's see, npm dev. So this package we do have it here. I think we need to remove this. We have to use that version. Let's do npm install. to npm dev. Okay, so it's running on 3000. Yeah, for the first time, it will take some time to compile. Okay, there we go. So we have a chat interface. Let me zoom in. So this is what you get as a default template, which has all the models that you have. The fact that I have added Google API because it knows that there is a Pro version, there is a Flash version, there is a default reasoning model. All these are pre-filled based on the API key that you provide. I'll just set it to default and by default connected, but ideally if you are using it for the first time, this is what you will see. You can click on connect and I've set it up to use Google login with thirdweb wallets. And you can click on Google, select the account that you want to use. And there we go. So I have got an account. So we are using this account for all the workshops. So that's I've added 5 seller tokens. But yeah, this is what you get. You can start with saying, hey. And I think for the first time it will compile the code, so it might take some time. But yeah, there we go. We got a response. And right now we have some tools. If you go into the Windsurf code and you go into the lib AI, and you can see all the tools that it comes by default with. It has a get balance, it has get block number, token balance. And this is what we are interested in is lookup ENS names. So if we say right now, what is this of metallic.eth? It's free right now, so it will just make an API call, check on blockchain, what's the address, and then yeah, it did that, and it got me the address of Vitalik. But now the aim of this workshop is to add payments on top of this, and this is something that even I haven't tried. We are gonna white code it right now. So I've tried x402, but with API calls. This is the first time we are doing it with MCP tools. Right, so try it out. So what I would normally do is I would give as much context as I can for x402 and Windsurf, right? So we'll start our agent. And we'll say, can you feed? So this is the tool that I want to payment gate, right? So I can say look up ENS name tool, and I want to add x402 and now I'll provide all the links. So I have 5 links instead of providing the whole LLMs.txt, which is not useful every time. If you know what you want and there's only limited content, I would recommend to just give those links. So there's literally 5 links. I'll just do that. So after this, it should have all the information it requires to install the package, changes my code. I would say read all the server and front-end code. This is that agent which is tools, and I want to get x402 payments just on lookup ENS. Now, like this is enough, but what I would go ahead and do is also tell LLM that I want to use thirdweb wallet for the payments. Which is already installed. So as I said, like x402 works with VM as well. Like if you see, we also have just VM installed, and you can use VM just for signing and providing the data. But since we have thirdweb and thirdweb has all the SDKs ready with their wallet, let's just use that. So it will be clean code. There won't be any messy boilerplate code, right? I think that should be all. We'll be using the best model as of the time, and let's go. So what we'll do is, as it writes code, I'll be going to the code and then like making sure that the code is correct. We'll not wait for the whole thing to complete. But yeah, in that time, Lena, do we have any questions?
I don't see any questions yet.
Okay.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, maybe we can do a quick catch up for everybody who just joined now. What have we done so far? Just to summarize.
So we have used Cello Composer to create this very beautiful, not this one, this one. So we have created this chat interface that comes pre-installed with all the big LLMs, Wallet Connect, and some tools that allows you to read on-chain data. And this we did it in 2 minutes, right? So if you are building something similar where you want to interact with the blockchain, but you don't need to figure out which LLM to use, what's the tool UI toolkit I need to use, how to configure my front end, how to configure Wallet Connect options, and I just wants to have a kickstart of like going from 0 to 10 in few seconds. I would recommend to use Cello Composer. And on top of that, what we're doing right now is adding token payment options for tool calls. Each LLM has an option where you can attach tools to it, which it has access to. But these tools are free of cost. Like LLM can just call it without any payments. But what we are trying to do is add a payment layer in between so that if someone says, what is the address of Vitalik, it should not be free. I would ideally want to charge, let's say, 0.001 Cello token for each lookup. In that case, we can use thirdweb x402. And it's easy to use with the template because we are using thirdweb wallet. So it just works together. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for the catch up, like summary. Um,
So we can start looking at our things. If you see, it first created a new API endpoint for lookup. And why? I guess it did it because this is not an API call. This tool is just a tool. Okay, just edited it. So this is something that was directly making on-chain calls, and this cannot be token gated in itself because only APIs are token gated, a payment gated, I would say. So we created a new API that has all the facilitator code that we just talked about in the beginning of the call. It has settlement, payment, facilitator, and it has VM to basically do the on-chain lookups. So if you see, it's using the same code that we had in our this file. That's the tool. It has added a payments layer wrapper on top of it, and it looks very similar to what we had. Let's make it. Okay, we will change the payments later, but let's say it's using Arbitrum, and it's using Arbitrum because the documentation is using Arbitrum, and we didn't inform it to use Cello. But in the next call, in the next API update, we'll make it sure that we use Cello mainnet. Cool. Okay, in the env example file, if you can see that it three more things: a secret key, the server wallet, and a public app URL. Public app URL will be localhost, but the secret key you can get it from thirdweb and server wallets. So for server wallets, when you create a new project and you go in, if you're coming in for the first time, you'll see an option here that says create a server wallet. But I've already created it and gave me the address. I can see the balance on mainnet, and it's zero balance right now, but I can copy this address and give it into my env file, right? So these are the three new fields it has added. So I'll have to edit off the screen right now.
I feel like when we're done, I already have a few questions just about how that would look like because it's such a new concept. No, we don't have it
Yep.
implemented in many chains, and I've seen it that it would work for bots, but I feel like right now, as it's so new, there's also some limitations. No, um,
Yeah,
like
there's always limitations. Like even with MCP servers, there are limitations.
mm, yeah, but I think we can discuss them at the end. Just see like what is possible right now to build and what still needs to be figured out, and maybe somebody can build those solutions. And yeah, We had a project at Token 2049. They also used x402, and it they built kind of like a payment gateway for that for bots that are scraping websites. So kind of like they listed some bots, so they wouldn't affect the SEO. But for a lot of like these AI bots now or in LLMs, like they are just scraping information off the internet for free. And sometimes it's like your I don't know, your if it's your content and like that, you could protect it. And I think that was a really cool solution. Um, and yeah, but also very excited to see how you're using that because I feel like that's a very different use case. So
Let's see. So it created a bunch of documentation that we are going to just skip. We don't have, I mean, we are pro, right? We don't need docs. Okay. So if you see, it did keep my tool, but it wrapped it with an API call. So instead of directly making on-chain call with get ENS name that we were doing before, it removed that call and it's now making an API call. Right? So it's internally, the tool is making an API call to our payments, payment, right? So what it does, it has the endpoint and it's making a target call to /API/ENS/lookup. And if you see, that's the exact API it made. So API ENS lookup, and that's where we'll make an API call. And yeah, so the tool is now internally making an API call instead of getting the data from blockchain, and that API call is token gated. Right? So this looks correct. I changed the description a little bit. I have added the env variables, and yeah, again some documentation. So if you like notice, there's only two changes at the high level. That's creating an API endpoint and then adding API call in our tool call, right? The next thing we can say is please make sure we are just on Celo mainnet and accept the seller token each API call. Price would be 0.001 Celo for now. But yeah, I'm just want to say, like, I just love thirdweb. Like, if you are building anything and you want to create a POC or like an MVP product, or if you are building in something in hackathons, they abstract away a lot of development time. Like whatever you want, they have it already figured out, right? So if you go into the homepage, they have an LLM. So this can replace Gemini. So internally, they might be using some LLM model or they have created their own LLM. I'm not sure. But they have an LLM model that you can directly use like any normal LLM, right? That's really good. And it understands blockchain. You have MCP, you have LLMs, TXT, wallets, payments, bridges, swap, on-ramp, off-ramp, everything inbuilt. You have insights, that's kind of an indexer, contracts, that's fully on-chain smart contracts, vaults for your key management. And this is not investment or DeFi vaults. These are secure way to store private keys. And this meets all the standardized regulations to store a private key, right? It's used something like HSM keys to store privately. Yeah, basically everything you need for development is provided here. So check it out. Okay, so now if you see, it has changed the cost. I don't know if this is the right way to, okay, this is just that information, okay. It has updated the context of the tool, that's also good. It updated some documentation, we don't care. Okay, this is the main thing where they changed the network and they added the price to be, yeah, way amount of Celo, and that's perfect. Updated the description, that's okay. And updated the network. Okay, it's now updating some documentation. Very good. But okay, while this is happening, I think we can start. Let me, for the safe side, refresh, start a new chat. And what is the balance? Sorry, what's the details of Vitalik dot ETH? I mean, we can also ask what's the balance of Vitalik dot ETH. Let's see.
That can be the next. Ah, because right now you only
Oh,
token gated this exact lookup, right? Like the address lookup. So the balance lookup would be a different.
yes. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know how they gave me the address. Let's see if there was any transaction on seller scan. Nope, I don't think so. What did hmm. We'll have to add some logs to see if it actually did the payment. But I don't see the API call being made here. Oh, is it that it's using resolve ENS name? Oh, shit. Did we update the wrong?
Wait, what is lookup? What is the difference to lookup ENS and resolve ENS?
Lookup means from an address to ENS name, but what we are looking
Oh,
for is resolve. So
then let's look
yeah,
up do the lookup, no?
new also token gate. So add PX. But this time will not update the docs. You have to
Can we
shout
already?
in capital. But let's try the ones we already have. So we know this is Vitalik's address.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, does it work when you like write capital letters? Does the
Yep.
LLMs
So,
listen better to you?
yeah, actually no. So it feels like you're shouting. So whenever there's capitals, it has to follow
Yeah.
this.
Okay. Okay. Is that your feeling, or is that like how they work in
No,
real
I've
life?
read it in a white paper somewhere. Okay, something happened. So okay, that time the server was restarting. Lookup service returned an error. Okay. Okay, I think let's wait for this thing to complete. Okay, it did.
Mhm.
Okay, let's restart and start again. We can start with the same prompt. Okay, now we have 404. If you see in the console, network calls, we'll have to call it again to see the errors. Okay, so the server got it. Like we didn't see the errors because it's making a server call directly. Like there's nothing on the front end. But I think this should be enough to give it to LLM. I think for these, add some logs, server logs to debug. So I would always give. So if you want, this is a trick. Like if you want to save your tokens and requests, you should always ask LLM to fix it. But there are chances that it won't be able to fix it on the first call. So you also tell him to add logs. So in the next call, there are high chances that with logs it can fix the issues. Otherwise, you'll have to first make a request to fix it. If it didn't, then you'll have to ask again to add logs, and it's a very long process. So this just saves time.
Okay, say fix it and add logs. Never do without
Yeah.
the logs.
Even if it's not fixed, I'll be able to use the logs to have more context next time.
Okay. And then, okay, it will keep the logs for context and yeah.
Okay, so it says the server needs to be ocean. Of course, like, I mean, we added env file, so we might have to restart. So there's a thing like if you add an env file, the server front end will automatically restart, but I guess it does not pick up in the back end. So we'll try restarting the server. Yeah, it just added a log to print the URL as well. But again, just creating some test script, so we should be good. The new chat. So it's compiling, and yeah, there we go. Okay, again, we got the error, and we have some logs. See, so it was not able to fix it, but now we have more context on how to fix it. So it did find out the name, made an API call to resolve server. We got the server wallet. We have the link that's made to the facilitator. And from the facilitator, we got a further. Okay, so the culprit, not the culprit, but the issue is with thirdweb API call. So yeah. The and grab API. And at the same time, I know the documentation for this is somewhere in the payment sections. No, okay, sorry. So if we see, this was the last debug that we had was server wallet, right? So, not here. Okay, so this is where we were able to reach, and this API call is breaking, and we are doing it to the payments, handle payments automatically. This even a thing. I'm not sure this is correct. Can you read the docs again and make this? Yeah. So because sometimes this is a perfect example of how and when LLM hallucinates. It was supposed to use this URL, but it did not. It hallucinated and created its own URL, right? So it created a target URL, but it never called it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's also thirdweb recently updated their API, no? Like a lot of their tooling to like go
They
all through the
changed a lot
API.
of stuff.
So I think it also happened to me when I did it once that there was like I would get confused by the different URLs that I got proposed. And it was like, but yeah, I think just going into the docs manually and looking up the newest changes will help you understand what is the newest and what will work. And
Yeah. If you can see now, it's using the correct target URL and making the API call. And it's updating both tools. Perfect. Okay, now it's just adding more docs. Okay. This is a thing I've noticed with Claude 4.5 that it's instructed to create more documentation after the full task is completed. Okay, the price. Okay, so we made some progress. Must be in the form of this instead of, okay, so we don't need to provide way amount. We just need to provide it in direct amount, right? So this is very easy to fix. Just give it to the LLM and it will just change the numbers. Fix this.
So easy. You don't even have to go into the code. It would be faster. But we don't do that anymore.
No, the thing
we don't
is,
touch
no,
the code.
the thing is, I need to change the same thing at 5 different places, and I don't
Okay,
remember.
okay.
If it's just one thing, I would I would use agent right now. I was going to my Windsurf dashboard at how much code I'm doing and how much code Windsurf is doing. It's 99% of the code is done by Windsurf.
How does that
And I
make
guess
you
the
feel?
1% would be using Cello Composer.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm still in the middle of being like, do I actually save time?
Oh,
Do you
of
feel you
course.
already like, do you feel like you already unlearned things because you're like not?
I think it's a problem for freshers who are new and they directly ended up using agents. But if you have like
Yeah.
some experience and you know how code works, how the whole back end of everything works, then I think it should be good. Okay, experiment header is required. Clearly, the LLMs. So x402 is so new that LLM basically does not know how it works. Like, at each step, it will throw some errors. Let's do this. And each time when you face any errors, try to give all the context. So I usually always give the screenshot and the error logs. So while this is happening, I'll show you two things that I like in Windsurf that they launched is code maps. So basically, it can go through your whole application and give you a context on how a particular function works from top level to the end. So if there's an API endpoint, it will explain you the coding structure, like first this function is called, then this function. So basically, it creates a mind map of your code for a particular feature. That's really good, and I use a lot deep wiki. If I'm contributing to an open source product, this is very helpful because it understands whole code and it will create documentation only for you. So, for example, I don't know, let's say, what is thirdweb facilitator. I can do Command Shift and just hover, and it will give me a read more option, if you can see. And this is an AI generated explanation on this stuff. So they go through the whole code and will explain you the whole thing in a very easy step. So they do fetch content from online. It goes through your code and explains you what that is. That's really helpful.
Wow, these tools get better every day, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so it says that I see the issue when making direct localhost calls. We are not including X payment headers. So the API correctly returns true. For the local development, we need to either skip the payment verification or implement full client-side payment signing. Is it skipping it or it bypasses the payment for local testing? No. So it's going on a wrong tangent where it's skipping the payments for localhost. So what I would normally do is just stop it, go to the last step, revert it back, and okay, wait. So I think I messed up. Okay.
So
And the last message, I just say that do not skip the payment on localhost, implement the client payment. Because yeah, now if I remember, when it only added API calls. It never made any front end code change to handle the payments from the wallet. So yeah, we need to add that. So all the changes it did recently, I can just reject. So it's going through the documentation again, making sure that it knows how to add front end code, and then it should be good. If we go to the documentation on the client side, what we need to do is yeah, very simple, just create some instances, and it looks pretty straightforward.
does it make sense to like ask your, because like the last time we did this, you asked the LLM to like present you with a plan to do what they're planning to do and then do all of these steps, like because like now we missed that it did the client side. Is there any way to plan for being like do all of these steps and confirm that we missed this time?
Yes, not exactly missed, but I do agree that we should have started with it. If you're planning to add a very big feature or whole new tool, it's always better to ask LLM to give you like the list of steps it would do, and yeah, then only you should review it. If you are okay with it, then only you should give a heads up that yeah, implement it.
Yeah.
So it's making a lot of the changes to make the whole tool call front end instead of back end.
Yeah, because now we also have it for two, right? So it's like it takes a little bit longer.
Actually, there should be some docs if you do thirdweb MCP with. Oh yeah, the agent version. Yeah, we have the whole agent section where it basically converts an MCP server into a payments tool, right? So, for example, let's say we have a model, we have an MCP server, we create a multi-server MCP client, which is coming from LangChain. Okay, they're using LangChain. Created a client for MCP server, get converted that MCP into tools, and created a normal agent. So this is a straightforward MCP server, right? Until now. Yeah.
But what we're doing is like a little bit different, right?
Yes, a little bit different, but so not entirely. Like the only difference I would say is they are using LangChain, and we are
Yeah.
using AI SDK by no,
Okay.
sorry, by Versal, not by thirdweb. So AI SDK
Yeah.
by Versal.
Yeah. Right now, like just like while we wait, I can ask you like the questions. Right now, this would only be on sellers. Like everybody who interacts with our the tool that we're creating right now would have to have seller to be able to like access this, right? And you could and you always would have to approve every microtransaction, right? Like every time I look something up, I have to pay, like I have to approve that in my wallet the 0.001 shadow manually,
Yes,
right?
correct. So,
Um,
by the way, I just reverted everything that I did recently because it was wrong, I guess. And I'll need to change. And what we'll do is we'll start a new chat saying, okay, so I have lookup and resolve tools, which are using x402, and then the front end, your wallet. But client side is not configured. New wiki docs. This time, let's give again all the docs. And give me a plan to implement this and then what changes from to okay, so we'll wait for it to understand the whole thing and it will give me a implementation plan. Lena, do we have time? How are we looking at time?
it's 4. We reached the hour, but
Okay. Let's wait
I
for
think
this response. We'll go to the response and
I
see
think
if
we
it
can do.
is able to.
Yeah, let's do that. I want to see how that looks like. Like when you tried it out, which API calls did you use, or like what were
So
the
when I
components that
tried
you
it
used?
out, I just made a server and a front end, and that was just an API call. The only
Mm,
difference in this case is we are not making the API call. The LLM is doing the API call. So LLM will make the API call, but we have to pay on behalf of the LLM. So there is a triangle happening in between where instead of directly making the API call, we're asking LLM to do it. And yeah, that's why the whole this documentation that they have added. I think this documentation could have been better. The agents page not super clear on how a tool would, how MCP server would work with the X photo, because you see there's no correlation of the servers and that.
what? So how
Okay,
can we
so
improve that? Like, oh, we already have the
it's
payment call.
definitely possible because they have a documentation,
Yeah.
but okay, so it has the current implementation, what's already working. That server side X402, both APIs uses settle payment with thirdweb facilitator. That's correct. We have thirdweb wallet in the front end. We have backend tools that works, and we have the dependencies installed. What's missing is web fetch with payments, and yeah, that's missing in the front end. Payment flow integration is missing, which handles this particular thing. So basically, everything is remaining from the front end side, right? It's asking us to create a client wrapper that will wrap the payment method, create a hook for X4 to enable fetch. Okay, it's creating a hook. It's creating example component. That is okay. Hmm. I still don't think so. It's using the LLM. Okay, we'll try one more time giving this as an input. New report. Need to make the LLM for in the workaround, what it did is it created a new component that makes a direct call to the payments API. This is what I did when I tried it out.
Okay. And now we need to like make it understand the third part that we're adding.
Yes. So this is again like it's not so it's easy to do, but this is like bleeding edge, like recently launched and it's super new. Like X402 is not like 1 month, 2 month old, and yeah, like LLMs basically don't understand what is X402 or what is the payment option. That's why it's not super good at adding those things. So yeah, just
Yeah.
okay. So
So
it's
if you, yeah.
creating a revised plan and it's actually updating it. Yeah,
How
I
long did
think
it
it will
take you?
take more time.
Yeah. How long
So the
did it
first
take you to
version that I
yeah.
that was half an hour, 30 minutes, yeah. Because that is something that there's a lot of documentation out there, but adding this inside an MCP tool is something new.
And you first saw it here and it's working.
Not yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet. But we're gonna make it work.
I wish there was an option where we can stop updating the docs.
Do you always say don't update the docs or it just ignores you?
Yeah, if you don't say, then it by default assumes that I want to update the docs. But okay, it's updating the docs. Let's give it another try. I'll copy the prompt. We have the server working. I still don't think it will work. Let's see. The only problem I see is because it's localhost. If
Yeah.
we would have used, yeah. Oh, wait. Okay. Let me check my env file. Hmm. Okay. In the next call, I guess so it basically uses public API URL, and we are using localhost for that. And I'll give you the context why it's wrong so that in the next call, maybe we can fix it, right? So what we are doing here is in the tool call, we are making a call to thirdweb API, and that's correct. If you go into the documentation on the agents page, we can see that they do ask us to make an API call, but the callback URL has to be a hosted URL so that thirdweb
Mm.
can make a call. But since it's localhost, we are not able to do it. If we would have time, what I would have tried next is you running this on ngrok and then providing my ngrok URL to see if it works. And I guess in that case, it should work.
We still have 3 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Let's quickly try
Let's
it out.
try it.
I'll create a new.
We can cut this video so it looks like everything worked. In
We can do ngrok 3000. We have the new URL. We'll stop the server. I will windsurf, update my .env. Okay, my env file is updated. Okay, I have to start the server again. It's compiling the page. Okay, so now we are live on the internet. Let me zoom in. We'll have to connect the wallet again. And if we see, we again have the access to our previous chats. Let's see. So I guess we should have the result, or it should have the new error this time.
Okay. But yeah, you can zoom in again a bit more so we see more of the
Okay,
error
payment
messages.
required error. And this is the exact error that we were looking for. This is a
Okay,
paid
amazing.
service. It appears the payment did not go through. Okay, so this is something that we can solve now. The endpoint requires this much. Provided payment link to top up. Okay, so I think now we are at a very close to fix it. Okay, so now we know the issue was we have to use it ngrok.
Yeah, I'll just host it somewhere. And it doesn't work on localhost.
Yes, it doesn't work on localhost yet. It's too new to figure it out, but it should be on the docs. I'll create a PR or tell them to update it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's all. Do we have any questions or anything last minute?
We don't have any questions now. Are we not going to show how it works? Or are you going to wait there?
Oh, are we? I thought we were on time.
We're not really on time, girl. I think we're
Okay.
late for we can watch the video. And let's finish
Okay.
this. We're so close. I don't want to like cut this. Everybody who's watching that will also want to be able to like implement the whole
Okay.
thing.
Can you share my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So now I've copied the error that we got, going to the same code and saying, see this new, fix it, and also explain what is wrong. And I'll also give the screenshot of this. Okay, so while this is happening, we can also go to the error logs. So it was able to make the API call. This is where it was breaking. So we did the API call, we received a post request, we went here, data is not present. Okay, so the payment data was not coming from the front end. So I guess the front end still needs to add few stuff. Because the problem is x402 agent API returns 402 instead of handling payment, and backend sees instead of ngrok. Okay, so I guess there's still somewhere localhost is being used. I think there's still somewhere wrong URL is being used. Yep, the env file is updated. Oh wait, did we restart? Or I think we didn't restart
I
the
feel like
server
you
after
did.
changing. We did? Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. Cool. So it added some debug logs to make sure that we are using the right link. Okay, it's updating the docs. Let's give it another try.
Do you add the debug links through vibe coding, or is that the 0.1% of code that you are adding yourself?
I don't add manually. Okay, again, the same error. Yeah, didn't fix it, just added more logs.
But would it not prompt you to do a payment? Should that be added? Or like how does the user flow look in that?
So it should not ask ideally because we are using thirdweb wallet. So it should use account abstraction and just take the payment.
And you
Because
already
we are
have,
using embedded wallets.
okay.
Ideally, what should have happened is they should have created transaction data and just sign it using my private key or my
Mm,
smart account wallet, and it should send the transaction data to the server. Server should send it to the third web to facilitator to handle the payment.
okay.
The real issue, users wallet likely doesn't have USDC. Oh, USDC. Do we need USDC? How do
Why
we
do
get
we need?
USDC on?
But why would it? I can send you USDC, but why would we
Oh
need
yeah,
USDC?
perfect. Maybe that's the default payment method because we never mentioned seller token. Can you send it?
Oh, yeah.
Send you
Let me
the
see.
address. Wait, even I have it.
Wait, did you send me the wallet address or you just have it?
I sent you on the Slack. Can you send it? I don't have USDC.
I can send you 20 cents. But that should be enough, right?
Yeah, it should be enough. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
I think it makes sense to be the payment in stable tokens because when
yeah.
I did the test, it was in CUSD, but I used my MetaMask for that.
Okay, I send you USDC.
View my assets. Just confirm. Did you send it on testnet? No.
I I don't have
Okay.
any money on my net.
Okay, so let's try again. Address of this done. The cost was this much.
Woo! Wow, that was
Yes.
so exciting.
And I think we should have the transaction coming up soon on seller scan. But yeah, the address is this, and this was clearly tokenicated. So it did resolve. That means it did paid. So the response is wrong because it was CUSD. So we can just tweak the context or the prompt to mention that it's CUSD. But it should be on this wallet. This is my server wallet.
Amazing. Odysseus says in our comments he's offering to send money, but now he's asking to send money. So I don't know. It's but he's also enjoying the live stream, so he can ask for everything. Okay. Well,
So yeah,
I'm like
it
this
works.
worked. Nice. I love it. So cool.
And you can see
Um,
like without any pop-up, no one knows this was a transaction. So this is the crypto blockchain experience we need.
Yay. Wow. This was fun. Thank you so much, Viral. I will try that later to do because this is very cool. And then I built something very new and innovative. And yeah, if you're watching this and you want to build something like that, make sure to submit that for proof of ship. Thank you so much, Viral, for your time and for building something so cool and exciting. And yeah, if you want to learn more from Viral and get amazing tips on vibe coding, you should check him out on Twitter. Viral, how's your tweeting going?
Not so good right now.
Follow Viral so he feels pressured into tweeting more about vibe coding and AI stuff. And yeah, make sure to build, have fun, and see you next week. We're gonna take a little break. I think no, actually we're gonna have somebody else Not Viral, because Viral is on holidays and celebrating. And but yeah, next week, Thursday at the same time, we will have another workshop, which will be exciting because it will be about. We will announce it, and you will find out. It's a surprise. Anyways, thank you all for joining, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you everybody for watching. Bye bye.